Well, good evening, everybody. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show, and I am your host. Eight Wind is Timeless. I am the holder of the Infinite Ball Game, created by the Hero Twins. I am your galactic daddy-o, sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. And tonight's show is sponsored by Drakkar, for the man who has nothing. And for my homeboys in Michigan at Grand Rapids, we're going with Flounder Porter. It is, I believe, 6.5 alcohol, which is gravity, 45 BTUs. So pop them if you got them, smoke them if you want them. So bottoms up, everyone. And as I get it all together, take advantage of all the technology that's available. So bear with me. Okay. I may as well use it to my advantage. All right. You do your thing while I do my thing. All right. Still should be able to do this. So. That is not me. Well, seems like I'm being blocked from doing this, so just bear with me. There we go. All right, I think I get it to work. There we go. Now I got it. Haha. Yeah. Oh, now it's looping me. Okay. It It's looping me for some reason. We'll see who's with me tonight. That is, they're looping me. Hey, Ernest. I think with some other people came in too. Thank you. Get into it. Hey, PJ, what's happening? Ernest, thank you for joining me. Hey, Crazy Sarge. I guess the first thing I'm going to talk about is hot as hell up here. It is still damn near. It is still. It was 90 plus all day. It's supposed to be 100 and something tomorrow. There we go. So it's probably like that all around. Okay, it says it's 81 degrees, 78% humidity. 78% humidity. So we get that tropical like weather up here. Canley, what's happening? Strong discernment. Thank you for joining. Freaking looping me. Why are you looping me? I already know the answer to that. Man, they're freaking looping me. Oh, that is cool. Wow. They got me snorting and snuffing, y'all. Oh, all right, they cut it off. Oh well, they cut it off. I guess I can't do what I want to do. They hating on me. Let's go from there. I'll switch it in a minute. I just really want to have something to back up. So what's happening tonight, everybody? It was in the 90s in the Cali. Okay. Clear. Okay. Yeah, no, they looping this. They looping the Facebook. They looping the Facebook. So that's all right. Let me tell you the greatest, the thing that I've been doing the most lately is my daughter and I've been playing pickleball. Pickleball is so fun. But I twist my ankle yesterday and I'm pretty sure I broke my foot because I have chipped bones in both feet. And so what happens is when you have chipped bones, they calcify. And when they calcify, so they're like little daggers, like spurs. That's why they call them bone spurs. So the spurs get a little, I don't know. It's just like, it is technically a broken foot. But like I don't know. I wasn't looking. I was looking at my daughter and wasn't looking to grab something and I had the LeBron soldiers on, the one with all the straps. Still fell. So, but played again today in 90-degree heat. She was mad because we was playing by the rules because it's a lot like ping pong. It really is. You're on a small court. And you have if anybody played racquetball, that it's like racquetball rackets, but not the tennis, the tennis kind of racket. It's more of like a paddle ball. If y'all ever played, not handball, but paddle ball, and it's like a paddle ball racket, and you play kind of like ping pong. You have to serve it and it has to bounce. Then when they return it, it has to bounce again. And then what's cool is like there's a certain in the middle you can't serve it and then rush the net and then spike it on somebody. It has to hit the, like you can't step over the line. There's an alley area they call the kitchen, which is like the kitchen, when sisters wouldn't get their hair done in the back. But no, it's an area they call the kitchen where if the ball is in the air, you can't step over into this kitchen. It's a few feet in front of the net. Now, if the ball bounces, yes, then you can just step over it. So it's kind of a tennis thing, but it's really a quick-paced game. It's a really quick-paced game. My daughter was getting frustrated because yesterday we didn't really know how to play. We were just kind of playing. Then I was trying to teach her and coach her, and of course, she doesn't want to hear it from me, so we getting into it and stuff. And so, But tomorrow we're gonna go it again. And then somewhere around here, they built a multi-million-dollar complex of this stuff. And I believe it's gonna be year round. So it's a growing thing. It's not as hard on your joint as tennis would be. You don't quite need the skill of tennis. And like when you get people that can play, it's a really fast-paced, almost like playing ping pong standing up. I mean, standing without a table. Really a good exercise. All those quick little movements, if you got really good hand-eye movements, it's the thing for you. So yeah, that's what I was afraid of. My son is playing this video game. I got this Facebook going. Now they're showing me the stream is not strong. So, hey, Lobo, thank you for joining. So let me end this. This is just more. And my son is not on his video game. Technically, he's on his phone, but it's still messing with the stream. Okay, that helped. Turning off Facebook helped. All right, that's all right. I'll get into it. Not a whole lot going up in the world. I watched the Hitman's Bodyguard 2 with Samuel Jackson. It is pretty trash. The beginning with Ryan Reynolds is retarded-ish. It's like, I don't know. It's like he whined. I don't know. I can't. It just makes no sense. And when you thought it would make less sense, it makes no more sense when Selma Hayek, because it's mostly her movie. But I'll say this. Samuel Jackson, they show him putting in work on her. So they show him having a real relationship, and Ryan Reynolds gets hit by a car and stuffed in the trunk. He gets shot. But it was like during the chase scene, one thing I figured out, it was like, they're about to throw an airplane or a helicopter in this. And sure enough, they threw a helicopter in there. And so I'm trying to think, how far do I got to go? Let me see. I've got about an hour more. And I watched it's about a 2-hour something movie, I believe. But it's a shoot 'em up. I thought The Purge was better than that as far as kept my interest. But it's a shoot 'em up. So if you like shoot 'em ups, it's okay. Oh, I don't know if let me see, did the women's volleyball win today? Them sisters, one sister must have jumped 40 inches in the air to spike it. It was kind of, they showed it in slow motion. Did the women's volleyball, U.S. volleyball beat China? What's that? Did the U.S. women beat China in the Olympics today? Because I had to leave.
Poor strips. This is
Oh my goodness. Okay, that was Apple. Apple couldn't give me an answer. Did the U.S. win over China in volleyball in the Olympics? Yeah, the U.S. women swept defending gold medalist China 29-7, 25-22. So they beat them. And this chick's name is she's bad. There's two good, but Jordan Thompson. I don't know. Did Jordan Thompson go to Stanford? Because Stanford has been the top volleyball team the last few years. But I wonder how many kills she ended up with. I just really want to have something to back up. So what's happening tonight, everybody? It was in the 90s. Oh, and the other U.S. men. See, we got 2 U.S. men's team in the Olympics. Y'all know that. And so the second, I guess, would be the B team won today. The other men's Olympic team won today. You know, the team that Brittany Griner play on? And Sue Bird, Sue Bird hairline way back here. But the other men's team won. Now look at the volleyball chicks and look at the basketball chicks. Why do they look so different? Why do the softball chicks look so different? What is it that that basketball makes these chicks look more like dudes? What happens there? Now we know that a lot of people see that their young men can't compete. A lot of people see their young men can't compete, and they've been playing basketball. Women, Robert Roberts, that's on used to be on ESPN, now she's on NBC or ABC, whatever, America, Good Morning America. That's probably the first dude that was allowed to go through under Title IX. And now there's no way you can tell me Brittany Griner is not a dude. I mean, but what has happened? They start taking them hormones, and they get to pass. Now they don't, and it's not talked about. It's not talked about like it is in other things. Like we know the track person, but you could just look at the people, and I mean it's I don't know. I don't know. Hey, Brisk Clown. Hey, Gray. Yeah, Grinders definitely. The softball chicks looks more womanly, but so do the volleyball girls. So do the volleyball girls. Volleyball girls. They volleyball girls look like women normally look. Like really, the best thing you can do for your daughters is let them play volleyball. And if you really want your daughters to have firm legs and a whole firm torso, let them play volleyball. I mean, it's nothing but when you bending, you using those glutes and stuff. It's like people don't understand about dunking. Dunking a basketball comes from hip flexors. That's why you have short dudes that can dunk. You only got to have strong hip flexors. It's all the push, the power coming from your hip flexors. And that's what makes you being able to dunk. Comes from there. It's not necessarily tall. I mean, of course, tall dudes, but dudes that ain't tall. I mean, I had 47-inch vertical, and I'm only 6 foot. At my youngest, I was probably 6.5 close to 6'1". But that's what it takes. That's what it takes. The fencing shit is crazy. Oh no, not fencing. Did y'all watch the surfing? The girl from the U.S. won gold medal in surfing. That chick. They're in the China Sea, or maybe it's the South China Sea. I'm not sure of what's off Japan, if that's the Pacific. I'm not sure, but it was nice waves, and this chick. I mean, it's just amazing how they can get into the surf and then just cut the surf, and like not only cut it but do a move while they cut it. It is just so enjoyable to watch surfing. I've watched other surfing, but today was the women, and it is amazing. It is amazing watching people surf, and that's the good thing about Olympics is highlighting these other sports. Did y'all see the triathlon dude puke up? He won the triathlon and he was just puking up and shit. And I was talking about that dude from Minnesota that did the same thing back in, I think it was 92 trials that he won. And this fucker puked up, and all of them complaining, even the tennis, they complaining because it's too hot. It's hot over there too. And they were saying it would be the perfect climate. Well, it's not the perfect climate. It's too hot. So a lot of the outdoor things, softball too. I don't know if y'all watch softball. I try to watch a little bit of everything. I'll tell you what's hard is water polo. Now, I don't talk about this much, but sometimes timing is everything. And when you just know people and run into people, and it was a brother from Chicago that cut into me. Felix was his name. He lived in Chicago, and he was like, man, you be up here every weekend. What do you think about coming here during the weekend? I'm like, what's going on? And he was like, we can do some water polo. I'm like, I don't really know anything. He's like, you ain't really got to know nothing. You do the game with me. We just walk down the sides. I studied it a little bit, and I did a couple games of water polo. All you do is walk up and down the sides and call the fouls, call the scores out. But you talking about people swimming for almost 2.5 hours nonstop in the water. Do you know the endurance? I don't know if people ever watch swimmers. Now, this young lady I went to high school with, I don't think she made the Olympics, but she was the state champion in Michigan swimming. Now, and we had a diver that was a state champion too. But I watched their workout. It is amazing the amount of miles they have to do. They start with something like their warm up. I remember looking at it, their warm up was something like 10 miles. And in a big Olympic sized pool, I think it's 6 laps for a mile or something like that. And they had to do 10. So I was like, yeah, I could never do that. So water polo is the same though. I mean, your endurance. My daughter was laughing. She's like, it looks like every time they score, which it pretty much did. But it's like you can be Dr. J in the water. That's why I used to like speedball. If y'all played speedball, look up speedball in the Olympics. Speedball is a combination of basketball and almost soccer in a way. But you can dribble it 2-3 times and you got to pass it. But when you go to the hoop, it's like a little goal, like almost a lacrosse goal. And you can Dr. J it or Jordan it. And if the ball is about this big, and you can do all this and then try to throw it in there. It's really a fun sport to watch. So speedball is in the Olympics too. I haven't caught it, but I've watched it many times, and I played it. Our high school or my junior high coach. That's something that one of the sports he put in, and I love playing speedball, so I like watching it. Brittany's out like a man. That's why Brittany paying child support. Brittany paying child support because Brittany they tried to throw in that it was her husband or her wife had an affair. Hell no. Brittany got that woman pregnant. And they tried to figure a way to do a story for Brittany getting her pregnant. That's all that was. I watched some of surfing. I thought they was in the Pacific coast of California for a minute. Yeah, no, they was over there in China, off China's coast. So wherever, if that's not the South China Sea, that's the Pacific Ocean. And the waves were nice. It was nice for the event today. I was impressed. With the girl that won. Because one shot they did, it was like she hit the wave and zigzagged a few times, and the wave encompassed her. And it seemed like forever when she came out of it. I was like, damn, did she drown? And they got the thing that connect or it can break loose. But that's the cool thing is the unique sports that you don't see all the time. That's what I enjoy about it. Not just the main sports. I like watching a variety of things. And that's like with the package I got all the NBC. So NBC's got everything on there where they even talking about it. They sitting in the office talking about the shit. and we know what did Luka have yesterday? 48 points. Telling you. The NBA's goal is by the next 10 years to be 50% foreign players, 50% Americans. And what they're going to do is they're going to try to put more and more Americans to play in China, more and more Americans to play in the G League and be happy. And then bring these foreigners in here and keep hyping them up. They want to make Luka the face. They really do. That is why this is the team he's playing on. This is the first time they ever been in the Olympics that they qualified. The game they won yesterday was the first time Slovakia ever won Olympic basketball game. So you don't think that's agenda? And as I said before, you can't take the Olympic series either because it's all fixed. There's betting lines on this shit. So anytime there's betting lines, it's scripted. The Olympics have always been scripted. So you can't take none of this shit serious. I mean, it's fun to watch, but if there's any controversy, the controversy comes from the script. It's the same as wrestling. It's no different. Like the girl smoking weed, that's scripted. And then she's running in August in some championships, and you get paid. So do you understand? Ain't none of this stuff, not all of it scripted. It's all scripted. Now, can it be a flowing script sometimes? But it's scripted. You look in 72, Olga Korbut. Olga Korbut in 72 did a 10.0, everything. Hit it. She goes into 76. She gets a 9.9 because they in love with Nidia Kamovic. Olga Korbut did just as well, but they gave her a 9.9. So do you see? She was the darling in the 72 Olympics. And then they showed Mark Spitz. Did y'all see Mark Spitz was the first swimmer that had 8, 9 gold medals and shit. He won like 7 gold medals in the 72 Olympics too. And he had a commercial. I'm like, where did he get this bug? He got to be in his 70s. He was the swimming dude forever. Mark Spitz, you can look him up. Like, where did they get this motherfucker from? They breaking about the woodwork to try to get on this Olympics. Wasn't breakdancing supposed to be in the Olympics? I thought so too. AC Day, Jordan, what's happening? As far as American basketball is concerned, we don't need Europeans. We good. Yeah. I mean, again, a visa is supposed to be given to a foreigner that has a unique and special talent. You can't tell, like Guinness is trying to push his younger brother. Again, look at the 2 other brothers. They're not skilled dudes. Giannis is big. But again, in a real league, if they could just play pure zone, he'd be stupid. He'd be done. Play a 3-2 zone on him. You notice they don't do that? You can play zone in the Olympics. You just can't stay in the lane in the back. Play a 3-2 zone against him. Well, what are you going to do? Where he's forced to stay on the outside. That's why he didn't play American college basketball. He wouldn't have been effective. When you can play zone, he's not effective. But of course, when you open the lane for him, again, a visa is supposed to be a person that has a special and unique talent. Cats ain't special and unique. Streetball dudes all over, they ain't getting a chance. Stuck in the G League, stuck in Europe. Hey, Gray. Now check this out. On the NBA 2K covers, it's Dirk, Luka, Kareem, and KD. Damn, that's messed up. You think basketball wins gold? I'm thinking they don't. They pushing if the U.S. doesn't win because they pushing foreigners. We saw it when Spain won. When Spain won, we saw the same thing. It was just agenda driven. It's scripted. Has nothing to do with real talent. Not anymore. It's scripted, and right now the script is to push them. Don't be surprised if Luka team wins gold. Don't be surprised. Hey, Ardeen, thank you for joining. Ardeen, I hope I said it right. In college, it's way more zones. Exactly. In the NBA, you can play zone 2. You can play a 3-2 zone where you can still cover everybody but block the middle. And you don't see that against him. Why is that? Why don't you see them like they did last year? When the Toronto stopped him, it's the same thing. Put a solid man in front of him, had him 2 wings right there, converge, and make them dudes make shots. Make them dudes make shots. And of course, they scripted where they do. I sat on the remote. Portis was one of the best ones I ever caught. And because I had one with Green. And let me tell you, when Green, I copied it in 16, you can see where the ball is rotating and it stops and just drops in. Portis shot was the same way. Then I damn sat on the remote and turned the channel. Or I would have showed that several times. So I was only able to show it one time. But it showed it. It showed it. It showed it. I am shocked how Bobby Marnoud got a spot in the league. Boban, yeah, Boban, exactly. And Taco. I mean, do you know how slow a team would be with him in there? The way people push the ball now? It's not believable. It's not believable. Raptors kind of play zone. Exactly. That's what Kawhi Leonard did with him. Stayed in front of him. And that's all it takes is to stay in front of these cats. Especially him, though. Stay in front of him. He's not effective. Now, Dirk had another skill. Dirk could shoot. Dirk, the height, the 1-foot shot back, and then Dirk picked up his rebounding skill. I mean, look at cats like Rodman. Rodman couldn't really shoot. He could hustle and dunk. But Rodman, look at his stats. He led the league in rebounding for what, 7 years straight? 18, 17, 17, 17. Then he fell off the final year with the Bulls, but he still averaged 16 rebounds a game. You don't see the freak doing that. You see them like okay, we've Muggsy Bogues. If the Greek freak, if Muggsy Bogues type player was out there, Muggsy would check him because Muggsy would show his ball handling up to code. You get a quick guard out there while he's trying to bring it up. What are you going to do? He's just going to push past him. He's going to have to stand this way in front of him. But you don't see that. You don't see dudes checking. He's just free. It's Globetrotter basketball. That's why I showed that one play, game 4. Holiday gets the ball. Booker fumbled it on purpose. He turns it over on purpose, 1-on-4, turns around, and puts the ball out basically like this. Take the ball. And then Holiday, knowing that Giannis is going to run down, but nobody else is going to sprint hard, and he's going to be able to get the alley-oop. That's a Globetrotter play. Muggsy would lock. I'm saying Muggsy, Giannis couldn't have brought it up like he does. He got the rebound. Muggsy would have shot across and be right there. And believe me, he would have had to turn his back on Muggsy. He would have not been able to dribble straight with Muggsy on it. Muggsy would have took it from him. He would have had to turn. He'd have had to stick his arm out. That would have slowed his momentum. Why don't we see more of that? People going at him. Instead, what do we see? Him just going through the lane open. It hasn't been, the last few years have been the most Globetrotter basketball they've ever had. In the bubble showed you that. Remember how well they let Phoenix do in the bubble, and Phoenix didn't really get in the play-in game? But remember how well they played? So they were previewing for this year. I mean, Chris Paul, 37 years old. Now I ain't pocket watching anybody, but what businessman in their right mind is going to give a man 37 years old $40 million plus? I mean, it does not make business sense. I'm watching this TNT balls. Their dudes just as good, probably better than Paul. And they play in TNT for their shares roughly 60 some thousand. You know, they throw them 6 sixes in there. So roughly each man's share is about 60 grand. And they got to play in that. They got to play in the G League. They got to go somewhere else because that name is there. The lovable loser, the king of the shame walk. Them Olympic basketball claims clearly seed rotation on it. Yeah. It's funny, on the TNT, they did one. It was Elon College. I think Elon College is a college in in North Carolina. Elon College beat the Ohio State dudes in the last shot. It was like the first to 91. And it was like bloop, 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 and then it went in. Because I looked at it, I was like, as soon as he shot it, I was like, yeah, that's in. I knew Phoenix was going to be good this year because they fell short in the bubble. Exactly. They highlighted them in the bubble. Because remember, they won like 6 or 7 in a row, but they didn't make it to go any further. So they highlighted them in the bubble, and that's how they do their scripts. They try to highlight a team and then push them through. I mean, LeBron lost because of Space Jam. LeBron lost because of Space Jam, and Space Jam won their weekend. So can't anybody say it's a flop? If you win your weekend, it's successful. It is successful, and that's one thing I didn't consider me saying they want the publicity of LeBron. They want LeBron to put basketball around the world, showing that movie. Do you think the big three use technology as well? Of course they do. Of course they do. They definitely do too. It's an older system though. They use the boom, 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 boom system. Again, this TNT stuff. They played. I think they played at Ohio State. So of course it's the college system. So it's a cheaper system. But even I showed that Olympic 3-on-3 trials. I showed a shot where it was definitely manipulated. So it's what it is. So of course they do CJ Jordan. They use it. They use the older system. It's an older system though. So you're gonna see probably the boom, 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 booms. I like the Olympic style 3-on-3, the big three. It's not even as good. I mean, you got all these old dudes that's in their late 30s, early 40s. See, when you play 3-on-3, you got to be able to break your man down. And what you see a lot in the Ice Cube big three is you don't see the dudes that can really isolate and take people. It's like I missed taping this dude that played in the Olympic trials where he just get by dudes. I mean, really separate And that's what it's about. It's about being able to separate. As I said, I won a game with just me and another dude because they would play me. They would try to double team me, and neither dude could stop me going to my right or going to my left. Because if I went to my right, I was one-on-one with a guy and I could beat him to the basket. If I go to the left, the dude couldn't go with me. If they tried to collapse, my guy was right there for a short shot. And then the way I beat him is I had beat them both sprinting to the corners. So I kind of did a rocker step to one side to my right and a rocker step to my left. And they both kind of reacted because they both went backwards. And I just went to the middle all by myself and won the game. I remember before the game, they was like, well, my friend tore his Achilles during the game. And I remember before the game, dude was like, we lose to them, we ain't shit. And I looked at him and said, well, y'all ain't shit. And me and another guy beat 3 people. Because I could break the 2 dudes who tried to guard me down. And that's all you have to do. You have to be able to break the person guard you. Hey, Jay, thank you for joining. I was checking out the women's 3-on-3 earlier. I really do. I do really watch Ice Cube Big 3 like that. Yeah, I watch it too. I watch it when they show it. I've been trying to catch up. Hey, yeah, Rio, what's happening? Thank you for joining. Oh, you don't? I like the Olympic style where it's continuous play, where you score, you keep playing. I like that. That's a good idea. That keeps the game moving. Because when you check it, it's a slower game. It really is. When they make it, you got to check the ball up top. It's a much slower game. I see that. And I've never played the other way. I've only played that way where they make it. I like that part. I mean, I played that way, so I haven't. But the new way makes more sense to me because it's 3-on-3. It's about breaking your man down. Now, again, if you got shooters in there, you can break them down. Be shooters. 3-on-3 has the 3-point shot as well. So if you got cats that can shoot, that's cool too. If they can get open and separation, because basketball is just separation. And that's 3-on-3 is a great way to show that you can separate from, because they got to pretty much play man. And so it's just about breaking down your man. Hey, Boo, what's happening? Thank you for joining me, Boo Sack. Yeah, I like the continuous play. So if y'all can watch that, the Olympics and the women too. The women have a team. Well, the men's team A. But look at the sisters too. Look at the women play. The women play pretty good too. It's pretty cool watching that. So it's it's watching. It's giving support to everybody. That's one thing. Give support to everybody. And that's what I do like about the Big 3. I mean, that's cool because I saw that. I saw older dudes was playing. When the Macker was, we was always older dudes. College guys playing, so that's been a part of it, and so I'm glad that it's pro leagues in Europe, but just 3-on-3, where dudes can just go around the world and just play 3-on-3 and get rich. I mean, it's more avenues of success, and yes, it's still being an entertainer, but it's like people played so well of 3-on-3 that it became a world phenomenon, and that's pretty much a street ball thing. I remember when I started playing in 2nd grade, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. That's how I started playing. I remember dude was like, here, I got a screen for you. And he's standing in front of me. And I'm like, as a 2nd grader visualizing why this is the screen. But that's how I started playing. And it was later when I would play full court. And basketball, when you wonder why children can get so good so quick, basketball is a game where everybody can play. You put 10 people out there, you can have men and children playing. And I was the kind of cat where a lot of dudes I grew up with didn't like playing against men. And that was kind of how I started once I got bigger. It's like I just played with men. But it made me better. It made me better. When I was in 7th grade and I played against my cousin and my cousin Butch and my man Chunky, they'd always knock the ball out of my hand. I'd go up in there every time. But you know what? When I got in 9th grade, quick release from them knocking the ball. And I was bigger than both of them. And so once I got that quick release where they couldn't get it, swipe it out my hand anymore, they was in trouble. But again, they made me better. They made me better by knocking the ball away when I was in 7th going to 8th, playing against them frustrated. Knowing I felt even then I was better than them, but playing against them made me better. So, men's team is not all that. The women are good though. Yeah, they are. You think Roger's going next year? He's going to have a lot of options. They're pushing him out the door. They saw what happened to Favre, and they really not trying to fall into that. They want to have a true person, and that's what they had done with him. They wanted to have a true person that could carry it. This year, they felt that that person couldn't do it, so they brought him in for this 1 year. Next year, it's hard to say. It's hard to say, depending how the college year goes. Alabama's quarterback already signed a $2 million deal. We got Master P's son signed $1 million deal, but I think the $2 million deal for the Alabama quarterback is the highest for them so far. So the big for the women's team was killing them. The commentator kept saying, "Big Mama Steph." That's funny. Playing older guys, toughening up and improving your skills. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think they're going to push him to the Broncos and win a ring there and retire. That's a good point. But remember, he's a California dude, too. Hey, Jeffrey, what's happening? Thank you for joining. Gosh, I be finding all these physics stories, and some of this shit, it's hard to explain. Some of this stuff is really hard to explain. So they found these cats in Alaska that they kind of proved as parallel universes, because basically what they were saying is when a neutrino is the one thing that's created from black holes, and so neutrinos, once they're birthed through the universe, they can push out the black hole, and there's nothing that can stop them. They can't be trapped. Now, you can trap light. Light can be trapped. As a time walker, I walk on light, but light can be trapped. There's nothing that can trap these neutrinos. And so what these scientists is basically saying, when the neutrino goes through the earth, what it creates is kind of shows that in two realities, it kind of goes straight through our earth, but it leaves a kind of signature. And so through this signature, what they're saying is that proves it's a parallel universe. Now, of course, they go and show how it's discredited, and it's not, but it's there. It kind of shows that it's there. Even string theory kind of gives you that. If you go into string theory, it's the same kind of thing. They just saying that everything in the universe is connected by these strings, these lines. And that really comes from the way neutrons are in your brain, your neurons, the way neurons are in your brain, because neurons have like little horns that things come in that give you awareness. And that's why people have a hard time when I talk about going into the quantum garden. It's hard for most people to perceive that. See, this is why they gave you this double slit theory. They gave that to you so you could at least know that there's something there. So most people can say, well, okay, the double slit theory, if you watch it, they move. If you don't watch it, they don't move. But it shows that they can go through both holes or one hole. They can react any way they want to react. But my point and what I teach is like when I talk to this stuff and try to make this stuff work, silver is one of the things that can go all the way to the quantum level. It can take both of these metals and this tektite, this motivite. The silver can take both of them to the quantum level and make them do what they're supposed to do for me daily. It reminds both metals or both things to react to your full capacity for this person. And even us, because it's there, we can go there. Now, it's not an easy thing. It's really not. I missed somebody. Hey, Sean, what's happening? Thanks for joining me. We have to be living in the parallel universe right now. We're not in the same universe we were 20 years ago. You can say that every day. When you go to sleep, it's different when you go to sleep. And as I said before, when you this is the now like I mentioned, I never get lonely. I don't know what that is. However, when I go out sometimes and all this illusion goes away and I'm just seeing people sleeping in open spaces where you think it's a house, and I'm walking through the neighborhood and I'm looking around, I'm just seeing people in open spaces. And that's really what it is. When you lay in bed at night, door open or closed, that's all exists. When you go to sleep, your dream screen is the only thing that exists. None of this stuff exists. It only exists when you look at it. Now, how does that go to parallel universe? Parallel universe goes into the fates. And the reason why I know it's fates is because, again, I go back into these wars and all you got to do is follow people. It is really kind of, it's really, I've done it so much that it's like, this is kind of easy, where you can really follow the steps because it's almost like the paths are there. And if you follow the paths, you'll survive. A bullet or a bomb will miss you by just that much. But yet it's going to miss some people. So because the way it is, it ain't going to kill everybody. I mean, hell, they talked about, that napalm they dropped, they called atomic bomb. Didn't kill everybody. They claim it killed 300,000-400,000 people and burned them, napalm. They don't talk about what the shit they did in Dresden. And they basically threw napalm on people. People, they put that shit on you where when you out, you on fire, you go in the water, and if all that chemical out you, as soon as you go out the water, you catch it back on fire. They killed innocent people. Human sacrifice, innocent people. Look at Dresden. There's films of it. There was no military point of bombing Dresden other than human sacrifice. In the same way with the atom bombs. They tell the lie that, we couldn't have went on that island. It's one small island. They would have fought us to the death and more people would have died. When they dropped the two, they didn't have another one to back up. So you blew them towns up. You didn't destroy the Japanese army. Look it up. The Japanese army wasn't destroying them bombs. They bombed two cities of civilians under the guise of they're manufacturing arms. They didn't destroy the army and them. They did look at what we did. They shot they wad with them too. They should have went to war with Russia. Definitely every day becomes a question of reality. I feel spaces and dimensions are very real and very important. And like they talk about dark matter because to them, as I say, I'm the one that came up and say matter don't matter. There is no such thing as matter. That's some shit they made up. Like Einstein made up the word quirk. He just made some shit up to explain one of his formulas. A quirk. You can look up what a quirk is. He just made the shit up. Didn't exist before he made it up. U.S. was just bullies. Absolutely. The shit was over. And as I said before, we should praise Japan because Japan fought these motherfuckers. Japan put all the Europeans out of Asia and was about to put their ass out of New Zealand and Australia. They was about to put their ass out of India. Supplies. They overran their supply line. Logistics. You got to win the logistics war. But they the only ones in recent history that fought the Europeans and kicked their ass. I mean, really, if they would have just kicked them all out the islands and held for a couple years. Just hold that shit. Don't go to the battle of Midway. Repair everything. Shit, there's one thing in one of the movies that said if they would have attacked the coast of America right after Pearl Harbor, what would America did? The movie would suggest that they would have defeated the Americans up until the Mississippi. They would have they would have won all that shit up until the Mississippi if they just took their fighter group and just attacked the coast of California. They always feared that. And that's another thing that shows you is all rigged. They tell you, they learned the code. They killed, they assassinated the top general, listening and shit, and the Chinese being loose, and they killed one of the generals. The general that won came up with Pearl Harbor shit, which again, that was rigged too. That was a way for the U.S. to come in. And I said this many times. Why would a good old boy in Mississippi give a fuck about a place he'll probably never go? It's propaganda. You know all the shaming they would do a man if he didn't join the war? Why do you think all the entertainers joined the war? They would be shamed. Look at all the athletes had to quit playing ball because they had to join the war. I talk shit a mile a minute. The world's police, that's what they call Korea. And there was no point of Korea. What's the point of Korea? No point of it. Their battle was called Pork Chop Hill. Pork Chop Hill in Korea, it's a movie. It's a movie, Pork Chop Hill. Gregory Peck is in it. One of the few movies about Korea. And then MacArthur, they kicked the shit out of the Koreans. They kicked their ass all the way. When he went around and went into Incheon, he did what's called an end run and cut their supply line. They pushed their asses out. And then they told them the Japanese coming. And MacArthur said, well, let's start bombing these motherfuckers. Now, MacArthur, they say that he didn't go with the intel because they was telling his ass them troops is up there, Chinese. But once the Chinese came, why didn't they just send the bombs in? They wasn't worried about Russia then. Why didn't they just send bombers in to bomb them? So it shows human sacrifice. How is your outlook on things looking right now? We are very perilous times right now, and ahead things are escalating very quickly. Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree that things are, but all you can do is take one moment at a time, one day at a time. Can't put any fear in it. You face the shit when it comes. Again, if they kill everybody, who gonna work for these motherfuckers? If they kill everybody, who's going to work? They're gonna keep workers. Because there's a group, them peoples, that's what I'm just start calling them. Them peoples don't work. They make money off everybody else working. And that ain't just rich elites. Them peoples, that's their history. They ain't never toiled the soil or nothing. They always been people that make money off of other people doing the work. That ain't gonna go away. So they ain't gonna kill everybody. What do the Guidestones say? They're gonna still keep a slave population because them peoples don't want to do the work. So that ain't gonna change. What did the movie 1983 show you? They want that. They see, them peoples created communism. They love that kind of control. Them peoples is in Russia. That's what Russia is. It's them peoples. It's a country of them peoples. So it ain't just Israel. It's Russia too. It ain't just Israel. It's Russia too. Russia is their country. It's them people's country. So they got two countries, and China, and China, and China. One thing they'll do is they make a lot of people take a knee. Ali wasn't trying to go to war. He sure wasn't. And Ali fucked him up. Ali fucked him up more than anybody had in previous history what he said. He said, ain't no Viet Cong ever called me nigga. You know how powerful that was? King got killed for saying as much. Once they cut King money off, King became anti-war. Because once they achieved the civil rights shit is, broke the black neighborhoods up because no, don't shop in the black neighborhoods. Go to the malls. Go eat where they at. Go give them money. Don't spend money in your neighborhoods anymore. Buy shit from them. Where I grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, again, there was four major suppliers, auto suppliers, where all the black folks lived on the north side. So you didn't even have to have a car. You could have caught the bus. Banks, bakeries. There's a bakery up the street from my aunt's house. A bakery. Wasn't no big ass building, but you get fresh bread, fresh cookies, fresh pies and cakes. up the street from my aunt's house. One side was a candy store, the other side was a bakery. Dry cleaners, of course, still dry cleaners. Barbershops, tailors. Look at the pictures in the old times and look how well our people looked. You can look at people and they be out in the country somewhere, but they looking good. They shoes shine. They wearing tailor-made clothes. That's the pride we used to have. My friend from Miami, Keith, he always had to have tailor-made pants. He had some of the biggest thighs, like Earl Campbell thighs. So he always had, because I talked to him last week and I was like, you still get your clothes tailored? He started laughing. He's like, you remember that? He still has to get his pants tailored. He can't buy regular pants. They won't fit him. And he ain't tall. He about 6'1". I mean, hell, we all in our 60s now. So he wasn't that tall. 6'1", maybe 6'2". Great athlete. Cannon for an arm. A 2-year-old right now, 18. 2-year-old right now, 18 years from now, is a perfect non-thinking, non-creative, true, non-binary slave worshiping AI god with nanotech in them. I would say, too, what you have to realize is when you play the video games, remember how Pokemon was making people spaz out. It's programming in video games, too. Like I was saying when I came on last week, I was saying, I watched 2 movies, nothing but blood and gore. One was that Fright Night shit, which is, I normally don't like it, but it was kind of intriguing, the story of the witch, but it's blood and gore killing children. These are high school people. I mean, the original Friday the 13th was killing people at a camp. Remember Pretty Ricky he was getting some pussy and Pretty Ricky got stabbed through. He got stabbed through. Remember that scene? The dude with the Jerry curl, Juana Man? He was in the original Friday the 13th or wherever the one, or maybe it was the other one where they at the camp and shit. Maybe that's the other dude with the hockey mask. So young people getting killed, but this new one on Netflix is people playing high school people getting killed. And it's normalized. So it's that kind of culture where that's why I was saying, what they call the George Floyd effect, or the Minnesota effect is what they call it. What they did here is they saw the 15 to 20-year-olds was the ones in charge of the organic riots, where they took over the police force. And that's my point about life. That's my point about things, is more of us than what they think. They were outnumbered. It was almost 20,000 people, and they only had about 30 cops trying to protect the precinct. What, you just gonna murk people? They just gonna murk people? No. That's say what's up, Sebastian. Thank you for joining. So you growing up in the golden era, OG. Hey, Liquid Fire, what's happening? Thank you for joining. Can't be nothing but thankful to be alive. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All you can do is take one day at a time, one moment at a time. I mean, I realize that this is my prison. I realize that. I said before, I watched my cousin. The same thing happened to him. I looked at him. I'm like, this is his prison. I looked at my mother. My mother's still working at 80, but doing well, knocking down nice money. But I just look at it, it's like, that is kind of her prison too. So I accept it. Because you can't have more unless you accept now. So I'm grateful for this little bit. This is enough. My son got his own room. My daughter, that I wouldn't hurt to have a little bigger place for her when she comes, but she only stays with me every other weekend or so. She haven't really stayed with me in a while because she's been busy. This little chick is busy. This little chick she called me, is like, well, Dad, I think I can write you in for, but that's all right. That's all right. I'd rather her stay busy and having all these experiences. Hell, she done been to Vegas, the Dells. Where else did she go? Arkansas. She's traveled more than I have this year. I've just been to Michigan. So their fear program, we see it. They are upset that enough people won't take the drip. They are like Charles Barkley said, people as assholes. I mean, what do you think? See, this is the same Charles Barkley that said he ain't a role model but yet he telling people to take the drip. He ain't a role model. Remember, he said that. So why are you talking about trying to influence people to do something? You said you wasn't a role model. So what's the difference now? What's the difference in you, Charles? You acting like a role model now? I took the drip, so you should take it too. Makes you wonder. Hey, Ciova, thank you for joining. And I use your infinite, Ciova. You said it that I have to use that infinite. Australia full martial law, yeah. We've been seeing that coming. CW Bay, what's happening? Charles Barkley ringless. This cat, I mean, what? Look at him back in college. They did something to help him. He wasn't that great in college. There's a picture of him, Rock, and Shaq, and they talking about Rock 6'5". Look at Rock against Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley only 6'5". Rock talking about he ain't had no shoes on. Rock only looked about 6'3". Because Charles Barkley, look at Barkley and Jordan when they doing that. When they was both on the Olympic team and they're standing there. Jordan about 6'5". Because I got a friend Tyrone took a picture with Jordan. Tyrone 6'8". Jordan is not 2 inches shorter than this 6'8" dude. He's at least 3 inches shorter. Look at that picture of Dr. J and Jordan. Dr. J is 6'6". Jordan is shorter than Dr. J. Barkley and Jordan about the same height. So there's no way that the Rock can be 6'5" and Barkley only 6'5". Now Barkley, they allowed him. Barkley put the strength back in the game. Wasn't a great outside shooter. If anybody wants to compare Zion, compare him to Barkley. Barkley and Zion are very close kind of games. I would say Barkley was a better ball handler. But same kind of game. Go to the basket. Adrian Dantley game. Go to the basket. Nobody can stop me. There's something in that. But not have to go coast to coast and everybody clear out like they do Giannis. These dudes, it didn't matter. Catch it with everybody down there, 5 other defenders or 400 defenders, and they'd do work and get the ball to the basket. That mid-range game, as they call it. Don Lemon said people should not be allowed to get food to go to work or games, so you know how it goes. You can have it free of charge. There you go. Barkley is 6'5". Yeah, he ain't that tall. He ain't that tall. I don't even know if you give him the 6'5.5", because I think he might be a little taller than Jordan. And I know how tall Jordan is. Jordan only 6'5" too. He ain't 6'6". But we all older now, so we've all shrunk. But with that picture here in Tyrone, we were still young. Jawada Man was in Night of the Living Dead too. Yeah, he was. He was in that one too. Yep, he sure was. So I bring out these things to, reflect on and look at how they paint these pictures and how the last 2 years been painting pictures of fear. They want you to think that fear is everywhere. What is the Rodney Piper, with the glasses? Remember the movie Motherfucker, the animated? I watched that again, and all the 42s. It's kind of interesting. You see the amount of 42s that they put. It's the old movie from 19 called MFers. I think it's called MFers, with the big head little dude, and it's 42s all plastered through it. It's funny because the main character is a dark character, and then you see 42 everywhere. So the mocking is everywhere. The mocking is everywhere too, and all kind of genders, genders. Or venues, I guess is more of the correct word. And all kind of venues, you see that 42 to remind you. Hey, Boo, do you think they could do a Cowboys Steelers Super Bowl? They've done what, 2 or 3 already, so could be. I don't know. I just don't know if Ben has enough weapons. I see that they trying to get Deshaun traded, so we'll see if that happens. Now they into camp. We'll see, because camp just started. They had to report. Yeah, they had to report today. today. No, they reported Monday. The veterans reported Monday. Some teams made the rookies come in last week. So get them per diem money. People thinking we're getting another lockdown. Could be. They're already pushing certain cities, wearing the Lone Ranger. Already cities, they forced them to do that. And it's all about people ain't going with it. It's more people that ain't going with it. I have a friend now. They giving her, like, what she say, months. She get a couple months, but they trying to force everybody what she does. And that's why, I was like, calm down, take a breath, and then look at it. What would be plan A? What would be plan B? Plan C. You got a few months to plan for this shit. If you don't want that shit in you, and I'll say this, if it's in you, like I take concentrics. I was tripping, couldn't say it the other day. But it's only gonna do what I needed to do. So I don't care what they put in this shit. It's only gonna do what I let it do. So I didn't notice that in the movie Gonna With It Again. Okay. I have come to terms with these people are just like the Joker, truly psychopaths. I told you, imbecile psychopaths. That's what they learn. That's why you got to read the book, Class Distinction, 400 Years of Poor White Trash. Because at one point, they was looking at the poor Europeans. They was sterilizing. They called them lumbers. They called them lazy. But then Bacon's Rebellion, they like, wait a minute. We need a buffer. So they created white. White was a creation to give a buffer because it made them think. They liked them. And what I say about I've said this story many times in the movie Mississippi Burning, two farmers, tenant farmers, working together. And then the brother gets a little money and say, hey, I'm going to buy this tractor and we're going to work together. Even though this European would have benefited from his neighbor's tractor, because his son, like the clan goes in and burns the tractor. And his son's like, why would you do that? That tractor would have benefited us. And the guy says, if you're not better than the nigger, you're not better than anybody. So even against what would have improved his life, he had to think in his mind that he was part of them. And they ain't part of them peoples. Them peoples didn't really used to even call themselves white. This last 5-10 years, they starting to call themselves white. For years, they was distinctively not white. Them peoples was not white. Now they're like, we better back up and say give us a little buffer too. And so these same people they used to sterilize, they was like, wait a minute, we can program them. And what I say about Pearl Harbor is a prime example. There was no reason for these people to join the war. No reason. There was not the people in Alabama, Mississippi, any of the states. There was not anything in Hawaii that should have made you go want to join the army. And as I've said before, my grandfather went in the 7th is Pearl Harbor. My grandfather went in the 8th on a ship. And he hated Hawaii because to him, Hawaii meant death. And he had to clean up all them ships and get all them dead bodies out and shit. So he never wanted to go back to Hawaii. But it just shows you they use them people. And war ain't nothing but constantly human sacrificing. That's why them peoples have been in charge, because that is all they want is human sacrifice. That's all war means to them, is appeasing their God, which is Marduk or Yadabath, whichever name you want to give it. God that ain't no other, a jealous God. That's Yadabath as well. Same characters. There's no separate test for the Delta strain. Either you have it or you don't. People with the drip have to wear masks now, I hear, and then they are the spreaders. Pretty much could be. Not another summer. You're definitely having a lockdown. They're doing the same play as last year. Yeah, they probably are trying to. But good point, Crazy Sir. You want food stamp, driver's license, you'll have to do it. I don't know about that, Jeffrey, because now you ain't got to shop anymore. You do not have to shop. So not going to movies, the movies come on your movie. You get the cable stuff. They already set up where you at home, so you don't have to shop. You don't really have to go the fuck out your house anymore. Not really. So I don't know. Easy you whom body you make and spread other strain. Absolutely. That was the point. They was when they was going after the little elf. That's what the point they were saying. We gave you money and you motherfuckers over there trying to find ways to make motherfuckers more sick. That's what the senator was basically telling me. He tried to talk around it. And when they found his emails, he hid. He wasn't on TV so much. Next thing you know, he's in front of Congress. So they're trying to tell you. And then he starts Moderna. He's one of the founding members of Moderna. And they get all this money. Come on. We some DoorDashing Instacart fools. My son is the worst about that. July, August, September is the high time for the flu to hit, according to data. Normally the flu, but the flu went away. They don't want to tell you that this thing is just the flu. The flu's went away. But it's a way to try to force it on people. Separate people. Have outcast, have shame. I mean, it's people really didn't go see their relatives. This is how brainwashed people was, that they really didn't go see their relatives, thinking that they go see them, that really something gonna happen to you. I mean, this is how dumb people are. It was people living in the same city with their relatives and wouldn't go see them because of propaganda. I think the Houston owners came up with the allegations, of course. We've seen that several times. Like I was saying with Ali. Ali fires the Louisville group that had handled his career up until the listing fight. He fires them. He got robbed by the Muslims, but that's another story. But he fires them. Well, what he didn't realize is one of them people in the Louisville group was on the draft board. And they pushed the draft board because so many brothers couldn't read and write that they wanted to draft to fight in them jungles, to play cowboys in the jungles, with no point to the war other than heroin, like Afghanistan, same thing. That was the only reason for the war. That was the only reason they over there was for heroin, protecting heroin. Clinton gave him $40 million. Clinton said, well, don't sell heroin. I'm going to just give you $40 million of taxpayers' money so you guys won't sell heroin for a couple years. But what is the number one drug in America that ain't really never went away? It's heroin. I mean, heroin is so prevalent in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has where you can go shoot the shit. And if you OD, they're going to bring you back. They give you the narcone. Some people can go ask for the narcone and they give you the shit. I just found out the chick that shot up her husband and OD'd him. She had Narcon in the fucking house and didn't use it on him. Because what do you got? You ain't really got crack anymore. You got crystal meth, which is more country. Country people like crystal meth. It's again the way energy goes. They like that speed. And then you got heroin. Now, of course, weed, but you got heroin. And heroin is almost acceptable now. All the cops here carry the narcon. All cops in the whole state. You just call like, man, this motherfucker, this was some good shit. I took my shot and I'm flying like a motherfucker. And before I start nodding, you better come get this motherfucker. I'll leave the door unlocked. He's the motherfucker laying in the middle of the floor, slobbing at the mouth. Yeah, I think the shit was too much for him. But they even want to scare them people. What is the other shit? They say that they cutting this shit with and it's too strong. It knocked out three or four other people here. And again, my point is that's more expensive when you add it. So why would you add something more expensive to the heroin? Some people say, well, it makes the heroin a little stronger. Fentanyl. Dumbasses really have Zoom Thanksgivings. Exactly, Siova. Zoom Thanksgiving. Like, that's the thing when I went to Michigan. My middle daughter's mother is about 5'6", and she's about 370 pounds. She got this stuff and she was all fucked up. And me and my brother was thinking, you probably have a lot of inflammation. So she thought that she believed that shit. She gave it to my daughter. My daughter's 15. But we're all thinking, you're damn near 400 pounds. You 44 years old, 45. You ain't thinking that's got anything to do with that you was sicker than most people, that weight you got on you? I mean, she can't even get the test. She has to lose weight before they can, cut her stomach to try to lose some of that weight. So you think that that's why she was a little sick? You got extra sick? You don't think your weight had anything to do with it? Now, shit, I'm 6 foot 250, 245, 250. I'm all gut. But I ain't been sick, and I ain't really been, I've been hurt. But I ain't been sick since he's 18. Since I had strep throat when he was 18, I ain't really been sick. Since he was born in 02. So yeah, he was about 6 months old, maybe not quite a year. Yeah, since 02, I got strep throat. Now, I got hurt. I've had multiple surgeries. I got hurt, but that come from playing sports my whole life. I mean, these fingers ain't fucked up for nothing. I've broken every finger. I've broken this hand. Tennis elbow. I've got a torn bicep. I got a torn tricep. So I've got hurt. But I got hurt from being active. In Australia, the prime minister told the people that they protested. Now they have more cases. Yeah, he's the same prime minister said that nobody died from it too. At military. Yeah. It's a test place. It hurts seeing family and friends take fear over common sense. There you go, Jay. This flu's on vacation. Exactly. So all you can do is sit back. Take each moment as it comes. And again, if you have to take it, make it do what you want it to do. I mean, that's how powerful we are. That's what people forget, how strong you really are. I take a bunch of medication and I take that Concentrix, but it's only going to do what I let it do. I mean, I am that strong with my body. I've been drinking sugar water now 6 years. And I know what sugar does for me inside. I have it all around me. I mean, here's my cube. You get salt lamps, Himalayan lamps, put some sugar next to it. It makes it stronger. They kill the positive ions in the air, I think is how it goes. TV puts out positive ions. These put out negative ions with the salt lamps. But these are very protective. I live on the second floor, so having this helps ground me. Because I live off, and if you live off the floor, you have to, if you live up, you don't live in a house, you live in an apartment, you live up. You need something to ground you in your house. And sugar items, and I don't sell the shit. It ain't like I'm doing a commercial trying to sell it. I mean, maybe in the future, but I've sent some to people. So, also in my state, you can walk into McDonald's and sit down and get that stuff to you while you get a burger and fries. Yeah. Well, what is it called? Culver's. I don't know if y'all got Culver's. They got it in Wisconsin. But Culver's, they just give you a number and you go sit down and they bring you the shit to your table. So, but this state is very democratic. I mean, there's pockets of like down here where I live is very, very conservative. Very conservative. Everybody got guns. It's very conservative down here. Sounds good for soaking. There you go. Oh yeah, you can put that when you take a bath. You can put sugar in it too. Yep, absolutely. Yep, green onions. Thank you for joining me. I don't believe that people are working with nanotech, graphites. This shit is killing people and giving people. I mean, Jeffrey, this is the thing. You have to be a master over your body. That's the first part of awareness. As I said before, the good thing about acupuncture is you can talk to your body. And that's what you have to learn is you have to learn to talk to your body. I mean, again, I got stepped on. I had a bruised Achilles going into my first year starting. Well, no, I guess it'd been going into my second year starting. But The Wednesday before Saturday, I got it cleated on my Achilles. If it had been torn, I'd have been out for the year. And I remember the team doctor told me, he's like, if it's torn, you'll never run again. But it looked that bad. I mean, soon as he stepped on me, when I went over to the tent and hobbled, it was black and blue. And it wasn't. It was just a bruise. I mean, it bothers me now because I tore my other one. So I've had injuries to both Achilles on both legs. But in my mind, and they shot my foot up. That's a hell of a thing to run when you know your foot's down there, but you can't feel it. That's a hell of a thing. But that night, I was crying in the hospital, crying when that shit wore off. I made them come pick me up and take me to the hospital because I was in such pain. And that's something I'll tell nobody. Never let them do that shit to you. Yeah, power over the mind, but power of your body. And then getting back into what I said about acupuncture, it is the one time you can talk to your meridians. That's what it opens up. It opens up communication with the inside of your body. It's showing the inside of your body that you're trying. And of course, eating right is another thing. That's absolutely. But it's like, if you look at this thing, that this thing ain't really real, so it don't matter what you eat. That's the thing about it is, it's like, okay, no matter what I eat, it ain't gonna hurt me. Now I'm going to eat in knowledge. I'm not just going to be, eating a lot of candy and shit like that. Like I said, I eat 100% chocolate. My chocolate bars are 100%. And every day you should eat a little bit of 100% chocolate. My aunt got that months ago, and some weird bluish bruise showed up yesterday. Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. I know somebody, their face did the SAG recently. And all her family pressured her to do it. And then she did it. And their shit, that Bell's palsy hit her. And so this is somebody I know. And, I've known people before where I knew one dude, and I've said this before, maybe it's been a while, but I knew one dude had Bell palsy so bad that his mouth was like right here. And he had an eye, like it shifted so bad where his eyes came over here. So he had an eye here and an eye here, and his mouth was like over here. So it shifted, but that's what he had, because it was a dude we hoop with. He was older than me, but it was a dude we used to hoop with. And he used to hoop when his shit that was weird, hooping against that dude when his shit was twisted. But his shit twisted so bad, and I mean, I know it's hard to imagine, but this shit twisted, let's just say we'll go to my left, your right. His eyes were over here. He had an eye damn near where your mouth should be. And his mouth was like up in his cheek, it looked like. So looked like a fucking alien. I remember he came to a concert and I was high in the motherfucker. I was like, damn, this motherfucker here looking like that. He's like, that, you remember so we hoop with? Like, oh yeah, yeah. But that was the first time I ever saw it. But that was extreme case. And his shit would shift back. But when it shifted, he would still be out and about. When his shit would shift, it didn't stop him. He hooped a couple times. I hooped with him like that. But that's how bad his shit shifted. And he was still able to function, work, and everything. I mean, he had a woman. So. But there's people, that say they ain't really had no issues. So it's definitely mind over matter. And for those of you, it's, again, like I told my friend, I'm telling y'all, have a plan A, plan B, plan C. And that's the only way, you gotta face it. She turned him into the toxic Avenger. Wow, holy shit. No time, Lord. See that story? I am not. She told the toxic Avenger. It turned him to something. Hard pass for me. Oh man, yeah. I've never seen anything like that. But this no cap. No cap. Definitely no cap. This is a dude probably still alive. I can't remember his name. But he was shit. This dude wasn't a little dude either. He was about 6'3", 6'4", slim guy. But he had that shit, that Bell's palsy shit. So, so I'm saying, take the fear out of your heart. Even if you have to do it, don't have no fear. You see most people going around. But will it get hard? It could get hard. Prepare for that. I mean, I've thrown a lot of my survival food away for the last couple of weeks because, I mean, it's like I'm hoarding food. I've got cans. I've got shit. I've got 2 lockers and shit, cans every damn where. Because cans will last for a while. I've said this before. I used to work in a building that had a bomb shelter, and it had a nuclear bomb shelter where they had food and shit down there, and they had to go in there because the food started, boxes started collapsing, food oozing. Some of that food was still edible, and this was in the 80s, and World War II was like 40 years. That should have been up for 40 years, and there was still some of that food that was still good. So if it comes to that. So the thing is just get into yourself, work on your magic. That's why I told my daughter we was going to the store. I'm like, show me your magic. And then when we went out, I watched. So I was like, let me see if she's gonna do the magic coming out. I'm like, because we was walking in the store, and I said, show me your magic, how you go in. And she just kind of looked at me, but she did the fate. And then we came out. I watched her. I was like, I ain't saying nothing. I watched her. She followed the fate. And that's what it is. Is you can pick it up. It's always going to be ways. And that's why, like, if you really think a machine controls us, a machine would call for parallel, because a machine is the kind of thing that has to have every answer, and that goes back to the me or the my. That goes back to that. That's the first AI. And of all the Anunnaki stuff, people do not get, that's the most important thing in it, is talking about the mind. Talking about having an AI that is a civilization builder. And how American Gods explains to you the telephone was the first technology god, the radio, the telephone. I mean, do you know what it meant for a teenager to get the phone in their room? Or have the 10, 20-foot cord? So you could take it in the bathroom where they couldn't hear you. That was a type of god, the tech god. This is before the internet. Think about when the VCR came out. Another type of tech god. Blockbuster. Friday nights, weekends, you go get movies. Before Netflix, it was, that's how Netflix started. Netflix was the motherfuckers like Redbox that's sending you the movies. Anybody remember that? That's what Netflix was. Netflix was the first one where you could get the movie sent to you. That's how Netflix started. Y'all, anybody old enough to remember that? Netflix was Redbox. Yeah, I got my emergency food. There you go. I got a bunch of it. I just threw a bunch of shit away. But yeah, I still got a bunch of it because cans will last you. But this is an interesting thing. When you're hungry, you'll eat that shit up quick. You figure 3 cans a day, you eat that shit up quick. Blockbuster fucked all the way up with Netflix. There you go. You remember the black box cable? Yeah, code. Yeah. Matter of fact, you could get the boxes. The first boxes was when you had the big ass satellites. Like, anybody old enough to remember where you had to have the big ass satellite? And there was boxes that took over that shit. So all you had to do is buy that big ass satellite, but you could buy the black box and that shit gave you everything. But you just had to have the big ass satellite. Remember how you had the big ass satellite in the backyard? There was a microwave, that big thing in your backyard. You could have put some food in front of it to cook it. That's how they came up with microwaves. Motherfuckers saw birds flying by them big towers and getting zapped. That's how microwaves came into being. Motherfuckers was talking. I used to work with a dude that was in the army in the 60s. He said that's how they used to cook shit. They found out that it was killing the birds like that, so they would take food out there and just put it in front of that shit, and they would zap the shit. Silva said Blockbuster could have bought Netflix and would be still in business. Exactly. Rocky, what's happening? CD players with anti-skip and speakers built in was the shit. There you go. Like I said, the first VCRs, they was corded. If you had remotes with the first VCRs, you had a cord. You had a cord with it. The first remotes with VCRs, I don't know if anybody old enough to remember that, but the first ones came out like 82. Because I was saying I used to work with this Klan dude, and they would hijack trains and shit. That's how I got my first VCR, from the Klan dude I used to work with. He was like, it's like he had the shit in his garage. He had a garage full of beer, but he had all electronics, TVs, and all that shit. They would hijack trains, make them crash, and then they would jump in there and get the shit. Because, the punk ass police didn't hardly make any money. The train police didn't hardly make any money. So they'd be overwhelmed, and they knew the shit was coming. Somebody they knew, they would target trains, make them crash, and then they bum rush them. And so that's how I got my first VCR, was from him. Back in the day, if you had cable in your neighborhood, you was considered rich. Of course, I remember Upside Face from Family Guy's Bell Palsy. Mom, man, but fuck, of course, yeah. The VCRs were really heavy. They were. The tapes was heavy. Boxing them tapes, like my father-in-law, my ex-father-in-law, he had like this shit back here was all full of them damn heavy ass tapes. And I remember we gave him, for Christmas, we bought him a DVD player. We bought him a DVD player, and we bought him some movies. And he took it back. He exchanged it for some shit. He's like, I got too much money invested in these damn tapes. Do you think this is Simone Biles' shaming ritual? Absolutely. It's hers. But this is a script. She was scripted to come out. And if you think anything else, you're silly. She was scripted to come out. They shamed the one sister, now they shaming her. It was scripted. Saw these people tripping out about this shit. This is nothing different than pro basketball. The Olympics are scripted. So it's the same thing. She was scripted and told to sit out. And then come up with some motherfucking excuse that they wrote for her. I mean, you got to be able to see this shit by now. There's nothing organic about what she did. Nothing organic about that. You got to look at it as the same what they did to the sister. You think the sister really didn't care enough? Okay, look at the sister that smoked the weed. She had to know something that she was gonna land soft. She had to know. No, she's not getting the Olympics, but she's sure gonna run in a couple weeks. Endorsements, deals. You get paid to show up at the ESPYs. It's a show up fee. So she didn't care. She didn't care. She's still gonna be a world champion. She's running in a couple more weeks. She's running in a tournament. Look it up. So it's the same with her. Scripted to sit out. They wrote the shit. Well, it's gonna look good. The same with the girl. When the girls came out and the girl that's doing tennis for China, when she said she wanted to sit out. Same thing. It's a script. You people watch movies, you watch television, it ain't no different. It's still television. So how can you have any other opinion? But this is the show. Program. Nothing else. And they shame our people constantly. Like I was saying, this MFer movie from 19 with the big heads. 42 stamped all through it. You think that's an accident? That's shaming numbers all through it. So it's a black character, but for them to have the black character, they got to have 42 through it. So you can keep seeing subliminally nigga. The referee in the shot. You think it was an accident, the little video I did, that they call a timeout and then 42, the ref is shown in the shot? You think that's by accident? That he's even wearing 42? Mental health agenda. A little bit. OG, what's good? I'm on vacation. I ain't been able to tune in. Okay, homie. Thank you for tuning in. She got a night commercial with a new Kanye song playing. There you go. There you go. BLM taking L's during the Olympics. I mean, they was dead. Let's look at it. BLM was dead. Now, the only thing they did good here was they was out protesting at the mall back in 18. The second day they said, if you come back, we can arrest everybody. So they shut the airport down, which was a smart move. They bum rushed the exits. They cut them off, and they held the airport hostage for about an hour before they made a move. That was but that was it. They was dead. They were dead, and they wasn't organically here with the Floyd shit. That was not organically done. They was not the first persons to go out there and protest. That was an organic thing. That's why they sent them goons in there to start breaking windows to get and again, Target takes shit in every day. And for 2 or 3 days before, I know somebody worked at that Target, they stopped taking shit. And you tell me they didn't know something was coming. But you see the police officer, it was a St. Paul sergeant that was dressed in black to start breaking the windows of Action Auto. Again, who wants to loot Action Auto? Other than wiper blades and mats, I mean, parts. How you going to go in there and know your brakes? You know how to get into their computers? I mean, what's the point of stealing shit from Action Auto? What's the point of stealing shit from Target? It takes away from what's really going on. That's been their MO every time we uprise. They want to take away the power of the uprise by making us petty. And people fall for it. Like when the boy got shot in Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center. Family Dollar. Family Dollar is worse than Target. Like, really? Family Dollar? You want to loot Family Dollar? I mean, just think about it. You are that hard up that you're gonna go into Family Dollar and take some cheap G.I. Joe knockoff, some toys knockoff, some cheap curtains, some cheap bed shit. No, it takes away from the organic shit. So they've been doing that shit since King, when they killed King, when they was down there, the riot before King got killed. People come off the bus and start breaking windows that ain't part of them. This is what they do because they want to kill the organic part of it. But getting back to Black Lives Matter, they was dead. They didn't come here until the second or third day. And then this is how you know they're controlled. Look at the second, third day, all the Black Lives Matter signs. Every time you saw a TV shot, every time you saw a picture, the sign is there. Think that's by accident? You think it ain't somebody pushing them? Little Nas is emasculating the black man. Exactly. He's going to do anything to stay relevant. And he sold his energy. He sold his energy source because we all energy. And he gave him that energy source. He said, I'd rather have mine now. I don't want to live forever. I just want it for now. So, of course, we've been seeing that. We've been seeing the emasculation of us. Technicians become humans, can never win anymore. No human beings are taking the L. Watch the hired goons that are paid to incite riots. Absolutely. They want to break shit, so you loot. They don't want the energy focused at them peoples. Do you think they used the Bible as a time prophecy during 1 and 2? Well, that would be more Albert Pike, right? Wasn't it Albert Pike that said there was going to be World War I? No, that was the dude who wrote War of the Worlds. Wells, M.G. Wells was the one that said it was going to be World War II. He said it 10 years before Hitler started. So yeah. I don't know if they use that. They use wars for human sacrifice. Them peoples need that blood. And so they get it through war. Sports are scripted, weather scripted. Everything is scripted pretty much. Can't forget war. Yeah, war has always been there. The Vandal cop was seen hanging out with the black dude with pizza who he allegedly tried to fight. Mario, King Kang, thank you for joining. H.G. Wells, yeah, thank you, Rocky. Yep. H.G. Wells talked about it, so they always talk about it. They always, they give you that little sprinkle. That's why the book 1983, you check that out. That's what they want. They want communism in America. And socialism is communism. And again, weekends off is socialism. Holidays is socialism. Overtime is socialism. So they mixed it. See, they talk shit about it, but they don't talk about the shit they copied of it. And technically, that's really what they want. But they're doing it through fear of disease. That's how they're bringing in the communism shit. Because that's really what they want to turn it into. When you're talking about a police state, that's communism. That's communism. And they try to, you get all these talking heads because, I only watch the business channels during the day. I only watch the money. And I've kind of forgot my point. But communism does work. That's my point. Russia's been communist. Yes, they broke up the USSR because Afghanistan kind of killed their money. They put a lot of money in Afghanistan and they blew a lot of money. So that kind of hurt them financially. And it was like, why are we trying to control all this? It's draining us. We're really not making money. So they gave them countries back. But they've still got their country. And China's still communist since what, the 40s? Remember, the Chinese had put them British motherfuckers out because they pushed opium to make everybody passive. Look at an opium den. Opium is the kind of shit you smoke while you laying down. Because the heroin kind of shit gives you good dreams. Gives you them vivid dreams. That's why when drinking the shit, they got the people fake leaning, but it kind of does you like that. I know a girl, she either took a shot or took a drink and jumped on the bus. And this chick is like about to fall over on the bus. My car was broke down, so I had to catch the fucking bus. It took my car 12 minutes to go to work. It took me an hour to catch the bus. However, I got there, got me a good overtime for doing shit. Didn't even have to do shit, but check in and wait till it was time to start. Because the bus got me there a little early. So that was cool. I'll get up a little earlier. But the girl, I was worried about being late because I'm cussing the bus driver like, fuck that bitch, man. Let her lay on the floor, man. Fuck her. No, I got to call the cops. Because he kept looking back at her and shit. She's leaning and shit. And finally, she fell on the floor and he called the cops. Because they have transit cops up here. Transit cops. We got park police, we got regular police, and we got transit police. Well, that's in Minneapolis proper. So, hey, Marco, what's happening? I need a kind of communism. I've loved my paid holidays and vacations. There you go. Overtime, all that is a socialist idea. 40-hour work week, socialist idea. Because then, look at when the Industrial Revolution started. Motherfuckers was working 17, 18 hours a day. Look at this shit. They was making children work. This is what they did to the Europeans. They was making Europeans children work 17, 18 hours a day. Every day, you was working 17 hours, go home to sleep, 5, 6 hours eat, come back and go to work. 17, 18 hours a day. And your children. And you would take your children, all of you working for pennies. This is what they did to Europeans. Them immigrants that came over. This is what they was doing to them. 17, 18 hours a day. Look it up. This is why all the strikes was wars. There was many wars that these companies did. These companies hired armed people. There were shootings and killings. Because these people got tired of working like that. They had to pass laws to say children can't work 17, 18 hours a day with men. Yeah, because you know what they took? They said, well, children could work out in farms and shit, so they can work in these factories. Because, children are out really in the summers to work on the farms. That's what summer vacation really is for. It was a farm thing where children helped out in the summer. So they said, hell, you got children working out in the fields, you can have them working in these fucking factories. I am UAW, Socialist Institution. There you go, Marco. 40-hour week is a trap. Yeah, it is. To be fair, the Europeans was gifted our land as far as being worked to death goes. In a way, they were. But more criminals was sent to America, was sent to Australia. And they don't like telling that. This was more of a penal colony in America than you had in Australia. They pushed that penal colony there, but it was like how they did motherfuckers Vietnam. Like Jimi Hendrix had stole a car, was riding in the car, and they said go to Vietnam or no, join the army or go to jail. And people would join the army, of course. Well, they did the opposite in England. If they had criminals, they were like, you can go to jail here or you can go to the penal colony in Virginia. And you see how they try to sugarcoat, they try to sugarcoat indentured. Sounds, it doesn't say slaves, but they don't want to tell you that a lot of slaves that was European was freed during the Civil War. They don't want to tell you that. They make you think every European in the South was just had slaves. That's some bullshit. That is some bullshit. And people that was in charge of Jim Crow, they was called poor white trash before the Civil War. And I know I always say look at the garden with the wind, but that's the example. Then people was looked down upon. So Chrysler has 6 days mandatory overtime. Shit, get that 6 days. Ooh, that's rolling. I remember them days. This is termination, exterminate human race like none of you have ever seen. I don't know. That's extreme, Jeffrey. I don't know if it's going to be to that extreme because, again, them peoples need slaves and they need sacrifices. That's what you got to keep in mind. Them peoples need slaves and they need sacrifices. So if you kill everybody, it's not going to give them the bloodlust for their God. It's not going to give them the bloodlust for their God. So they're going to keep people. Because they sure as hell don't want to do the work. That's proven. That's proven through time. They do not want to do real work. They want to make money off other people's work. That's just their way. I don't understand why black people want to claim slavery only as ours. Exactly. I got a book that talks about the world history of slavery. Yeah, let me show you. This book right here, Hugh Thomas, The Slave Trade. This is the world history of slave. Now I know, and even this picture is fake. This ain't nothing but a blueprint. When you see this shit, wasn't nobody ever said like this. This is a picture of a blueprint. And they give it to you in Black history like people really move like this. This is a fucking blueprint. But this is a good book for slavery. And again, he got that black shit, but American slavery. But this shows the history of the world slavery. I've had this book forever. But then this is another one. How slavery united the colonies and sparked the American Revolution. Slave Nation. This gets in some good writing but of course they don't want to talk. They don't talk about the indentured slavery. They don't mention that too much. But see how they try to soft play their history? And that's why 400 years of poor white trash is so important, because it shows the rise of the hillbilly. My generation, none of the people in the North listen to that music. None of it. And it wasn't until, I'm trying to think. I used to be an armored car driver. I'm trying to think. What year was that? I think it was before my boys was born, so it's probably late 90s. And I worked with a dude that was in the Army, and he's talking about the reason why people love country music, because it's American. And I remember I hit him with, isn't hip-hop American too? And he ain't know what to say. He said the reason why people love country music around the world because it's American. I'm like, so is hip-hop. He ain't know what to say. But it wasn't until probably the 90s with the rise of the hillbilly, where they said, you know what, we better make these people feel good. We've been stepping on them and they've been our slaves. And see, that's what people don't understand. They were their slaves. They looked down on these people. If you were not a blue blood, if you wasn't a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, You wasn't in. You wasn't in. I mean, look at when the Civil War first started. Then people went into Tennessee and started killing Protestants. Why is that? Why do you think they went into states and started killing Protestants? Look at the 70 plus generals that came from Europe that fought in the Civil War. And you find brothers that fought in the South first. Yeah, I've talked about that every day. You can see that shit. It's the easiest. They try to hide most of it, but look at all them generals coming out of Texas. You see all these melanated people, but they try to hide that shit. Oh, they were from Mexico. They're not like you guys. They're not really melanated. They're macetos. Yeah, look at them pictures and see if they look like macetos. Because they try to hide this shit. They try to get rid of it. They don't want you to know that. 400 years passed in 19. Shift started getting back bad in America. 2020 Act 7677. Welcome 208. Marco, what's happening? They want to talk about the slaves that black people had in Europe. there you go. I remember when I asked when I was younger, who was a slave in our family? Exactly. Country is just like the blues. There you go. What do you call it? Bluegrass. Bluegrass is another thing. You know, most black people in the Civil War fought for the Confederacy. Yeah, absolutely. The most black people fought for the Confederacy. The Confederacy brothers started fighting with Confederacy from the very beginning. Lincoln, what is glory? Now, I had two ancestors, two brothers. One died in the Battle of Fort Wagner, storming Fort Wagner, which they never took. But the one holding the flag in the movie Glory is showing my ancestor getting killed. And that's some deep shit to see. That's some hard shit. That was some hard shit for me to see. I made a couple videos on it, but to actually see a recreation how a person in my family got killed fighting for them peoples. Sacrifice, but still, but bravery. It showed me how brave my family could be too. But this is the shit. Is two brothers in the 54th Massachusetts. Thomas Ampey he's the flag bearer. He marches in to fight for Wagner. The other brother they kept in the back to do supplies. Like they knew something. So one brother made it. One brother got killed. And then my great-great-grandfather fought in Ohio. And he actually got out of the war by getting heat stroke. He got heat stroke. He was fighting in the Carolinas and he got heat stroke. So he missed a lot of the war because, that heat stroke passed him out. He was passed out for some days. So he spent some time, they put him in the loony bin because he couldn't fight and he had passed out. And, I already had a brother got killed. Kind of would make you go crazy. The sinister Jesuits, or Abraham Lincoln himself wrote, yeah, it's them peoples. It ain't the Jesuits. The Jesuits is just the army. A lot of our people fled to Mexico after the war. Well, John Horse, he's got several names, but he fought all the way around. Trying to think of can't think of the other guy that fought with him too. And that story makes no sense. You're gonna sit there, everybody else escapes from jail, but the person getting a picture drawn. And you're gonna sit there and you're gonna get a picture drawn and you ain't gonna escape. So that's all fake too. And now they put Osceola Parker. It ain't just Osceola anymore. The Masons, Parkers, the Masons, because he had one wife. He had two wives. Osceola had a sister and he had a European wife. And so the Parkers is the European brand, and all of them is Masons. All of them is Masons. And so some kind of way he's interconnected. I ain't found it, but that's what my grandmother used to say. But I haven't found where he's connected. Hillbilly culture is far worse than what they make the black culture. Wife beaters. Wife beaters is the prime example of hillbilly culture. Wife beaters. Why are they called wife beaters? Because every time on Cops, you would see somebody, it would be a European beating on his wife and getting arrested. And he wore a tank top. They used to be called tank tops. Now they just call beaters now. Everybody just calls them beaters or wife beaters, but beaters. Yep. Yeah, Glory is a damn propaganda piece. Absolutely. Absolutely. Propaganda. Because they was losing so many people. I mean, like I was talking about Verdun. I was watching Somme and Verdun, 300,000+ people. Makes no sense. That is sacrifice. That ain't war. Civil War, same thing. Some of these battles where 20,000 people get killed. Like Bull Run. They fought Bull Run twice. Twice. For what? So, and then when Johnston gets hurt, and then Lee, because Lee, see, this is another lie. They tell you that Lee turns down the Union so he could be ahead of the Confederates. Lee was not the head of the Confederates. I think it was Johnston was the first head, and you guys can look that up too. But Lee was not the commanding general of the South, like they try to lie and say. You even see where they had his statues and commander of the South. No, he wasn't. He at one time he wasn't even head of the Army of Virginia. It was somebody over him in Virginia, but he was not the main general over the South. It wasn't until he got in command they started losing. Gettysburg makes no sense. Makes no sense. What he did to Pickett's charge made no sense. In strategic military history or science, there's no way you send those men, 20,000 men across the field, into cannons. Sacrifice. Code of Armata. What's happening? I'm not mistaken. Doesn't Tarantino movie Hateful Eight touch on the brother fighting for the South? I think a little bit he does. I think a little bit. I can't remember it. I think a little bit it does. So it was brothers that was spying for the South. So, they talk about Harriet Tubman. I think I agree with Dane that Harriet Tubman and Nat Turner was made up. I know Harriet Tubman's made up. That shit makes no sense. Makes no sense. And then when you get into, if you study the Tubmans further, you see the Tubmans name all in taking people off the farms and taking over Liberia. And then you see one of the early presidents of Liberia is a Tubman. But look up them records. All them records are still there. And you see the name Tubman has to do with Liberia. So there's some instances they was taking people off the fields to take them to Liberia. That's the real history. So that's some shit they made up. And now they want to put a made up character on the money now to make you think they represent you. It's again demeaning the man and raising a fictional character. Sly touched on this the other day. The South only lost on paper. Well, not really. Not really. They gave up a lot of land. I mean, that was what the fight was really about, was the land. They did not see the South made more money than the industrial North at the time. And then they try to tell you because of cheap labor. That's bullshit. It's the same thing. It was sharecroppers. That's what they tried to call slavery sharecropping. When sharecropping went on, you worked this part and, so them peoples wasn't in the South like that. But after the war, they was. And what they did is the poor white trash people was elevated. They was elevated. They took a lot of them lands. I mean, that's when Sherman marched to the sea, Sherman attacked records. He made sure to burn records. So it wasn't just Sherman was attacking the South. No, Sherman was trying to take away these land rights and these treaties. That's what Sherman's job was, is to burn all that shit up so there ain't no records. So people can't come back and say, hey, we own this shit. Or if they say we own it, they say, well, we don't have any matching record to show you own it. That's what Sherman's job was. And even like Tasha talks about, even when black folks would have a lot of land and records, they would purposely burn that shit to say, hey, you don't own this. We don't have any records that you own it. Well, you burn this shit. I mean, I like Dane. Dane is a businessman, that's all. Now you said that those Tubman records would disappear. They probably will. But last I was looking at that shit, you can still find it. So it should be. I mean, Dame is a business person. So, he's a business person. He was supposed to meet me up here because he was trying to say the Mississippi, is the Nile River. And I'm like, let's go to the river and ask the river. Yeah, I don't think Tubman existed either. It just does. The story doesn't make sense. Nothing adds up about her. None of that shit written is about her. Like Nat Turner's story ain't about her. they put some homosexual stuff in the Nat Turner story. If you ever anybody read the I think it's called The Trial of Nat Turner, they throw that in there. And then this is one thing they throw in there. The Trial of Nat Turner, they throw in that it was a free family, a free melanated family. And they say nobody would do business with them, so they was always starving. So they admit that the people have a farm, but they're starving. So do you see, it's just a psyop? They admit that the people have a farm. How many people know, other than the Dust Bowl, that had farms where they starving? You can't have no chickens. You can't grow shit. I mean, you just can't grow shit. I mean, it's just like 1 year, he's like, well, won't shit grow on our land anymore. All you got to do is rotate crops and shit will grow every year. But in Nat Turner's book, they tell you one free family and they was starving and raggedy, but they was free. So they was trying to tell you that it was better to be a slave than be free. Because if you was free during those times. But one part I'll say that probably made a little sense on white slaves, European slaves, and melanated slaves is it probably was a point where people would go crazy. I kind of see that a little bit. But like 12 years a slave, I've said this many times, is, you taking people's children, people going to go crazy and they ain't going to work. So how often would you do that? How often would you just make your people go crazy? So propaganda, a lot of propaganda. That Tubman movie did seem super hairish. I think a lot of photos of people like Douglas, maybe actual Moorish presidents. I don't know. I mean, I'll keep my ears open enough to listen to that. I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to write a story of someone like Tubman saving and transporting people. Exactly. It makes no sense. I mean, if you're a sharecropper, why do you want to leave your job? I mean, that's the thing is, the Dane really brings out is it was jobs. It was jobs. They just want to put a name on jobs. So people could still be called slaves that work for somebody else. Seer mentioned that too. Well, I've had my issues with a seer, But a seer, when he doesn't speak agenda, a seer has a wealth of information. I will agree with that. But he has an agenda. And I ain't got to lie about him when he know. I mean, my talk shoe, that's gone, but he was on my talk shoe twice. And that was fucking 17. And my brother is cooler with him, used to be cooler with him than me, and he can back me up. My brother tell you, he's the one that had the connection with the seer. So I'll bring him on, he'll tell you. Seer was selling them papers. What is his agenda? A seer was selling them papers too. He was selling them papers. So that's the seer's agenda. Is he was selling paperwork at one time. So, and he, I'll repeat the whole story. So, I got to asking people. I called Turtle Gang. He's like, no, about New York. Yeah, we know he left up out of here. And then I called my boy Hito Paul down in Louisiana, and he's like, he's what? And he's where? He's like, I'm gonna call you right back. He called me right back with the Grand Sheik out of Miami. Sorry, I can't remember his name. And this again was 17. And the Grand Sheik was like, he lived with them peoples. Look where he make his videos. He make his videos in that park where them peoples live. He don't come and help us. He ain't in the temple. He don't come in the temple. And this is Miami where he lived. He's like, he don't work with the people like we work with the people. So a seer was for a seer. Yep. What paperwork, see over? He was telling you that. Now this is what made me mad at him. There was one dude on the call that was cool with my brother, and because just like people make comments the same way with talk show, you can make comments and stuff. And a seer was selling a legitimate, the legitimate birth certificate, legalized birth certificate, or second birth certificate. He was selling them kind of papers. So if you paid him $600, he would take you to the steps to get your legalized birth or whatever legitimate birth. I forget what the name of that shit is. And one dude was like, he was a wheelchair bound dude. He had somebody else typing for him. He was a quadriplegic. couldn't use his arms. He had somebody typing the shit in, and he wanted to take money from him. He's like, oh, if you can only pay so much a month, you can do it. But just that kind of paperwork. That kind of paperwork. Yeah, 12 years slave is scum propaganda. But what you got to understand, what it does show you is, why are they taking people from the North? You know, why are they taking people from the North? That's what 12 years a slave shows you. If slavery is so bountiful and they bring in these Africans, why are they stealing black folks from the North? My family member got a big part of Boston. His brothers died of the pox. He survived. He got a big part of Boston. We're Wampanoags. And he gets kidnapped to Tobago. He gets kidnapped to Tobago. He stayed down there 8 years. He makes it back. He marries a Sapani queen in North Carolina, or Sapani princess. And he goes back to Boston. And out of thousands of acres, he was only able to get 20 acres. They say, you've been gone too long. You lost all the claim to your land. He was only giving back 20 acres. And we got all the paperwork for that shit. So, and the thing about it, them Wampanoags up there, because where we look, they don't want to really have much to do with us. So, hey, Perspective Gaming, what's happening? So, you know, he was selling that kind of stuff, you know, and like I said, I can get my brother on and he'll tell you the name of that stuff. But the bottom line of this shit, here I am, bottom line, that's a spell. But the point of it is you could do the shit yourself. You didn't need him to get that done. So it was a scam. I felt hurtful because I felt like I helped the scam. When I looked at it, he didn't scam me. So, you know, I mean, he didn't scam me, but I felt bad for that dude in the wheelchair because he couldn't afford to really pay for it. But, you know, he's looking up to me. He's looking at my brother, and we got this dude on, and dude, you know, he's very astute, you know, likable when he talks. You know, he's got a million stories. But the point was, it was a scam, you know, and I had to bring my brother on. I know he can't come late, so if I can get him on early. So, plus, when we do the Moors thing, I want him on too, because he's got a lot of information that research that because he used to be he used to study with Moors. He actually used to be Moor. Well, even me. You look at my Facebook under Brian Toby Macon, I put Gnostic Moor because at that point back in 10, that's where the research kind of took me. You know, I'm at a different place now, but that's where the research took me then. So I want to, when I get this, I'm gonna have a show about the Moors. I want to get him on here because he has he is the best researcher I know. And I tease him. I tease my brother. My brother's like books are perfect. And he reads like this. He'll barely open them up. I mean, he will barely open that book up. I mean, he takes care of his books. But it's funny watching him read. Like, it's just joking, bro. Don't get mad if you see it. It's just jokes. But it's just, that brother was scamming. So, you know. Like I say, he didn't scam me. And everything he's saying ain't wrong. He's got some good history. I don't know. Now, I'll say this. How do I want to say this? Especially American history, especially ancient American history. Like I heard one dude on something said the Omen, which is the Olmec, the proper name is Omen. If you look at the translation, it comes into Omen lands, but the commercial name is Olmec. It's easier for Americans to remember. And remember, the Olmec stuff is only the last 10 years, really. Really well, no, I'll take that back. Since the mid-90s. Well, when he wrote Before Columbus. But a lot of people didn't jump on that book and talked about the heads. And it was like, and then National Geographic, and I can't find that. National Geographic showed all the lands, Lavetta and all that stuff, and showed their reach. Where their reach was basically Mexico and South America. Yeah. But a guy said, you know, he put them in with the Z, and the Z's came later. That came later. The Z came later. So you can't say they were the same people. And this is the thing, you never hear them talking about, because I got pictures where they opened up some tombs of Omen. Do you hear me? They opened up some of their tombs. You ever hear them say they doing DNA on that stuff? Because can't they take DNA out of bones? Can't they take DNA out of bones? You never trying to hear them say that. No. And it's like, what people don't understand is, when you study stuff, you got to study the art and the fractals of their art. Because there's certain patterns that you can't, it's like a puzzle. You know, when you look at history, you're trying to put a puzzle together. And if a part don't match, it don't match. I mean, you have to have a custom of the infinite ball game and the hero twins. You have to have a custom of that. So if your civilization didn't practice that, it's hard to mesh, because the infinite ball game went from Mexico all the way down to South America, La Venta, Pacific side, the other side too, the Pacific and the Gulf of Mexico, and it went all the way through Arizona, up through the Mississippi valleys, and where my people was, the woodland people. So you got to have that history, or it's something different. If you ain't got that history, it's something different. And you ain't going to make that puzzle fit by trying to call it something else. Hey, crazy man, you just like me, bro. Keep it question everything. There you go. Van Sertima. Yeah, Van Sertima. Yep, his book. And his book was very informative. He talks about like how, because this is the story they tell you. They say that in Africa, an Indian made it all the way, but he died once he got. They tell you that an Indian took a motherfucking little canoe and went all the way across over to Africa, but he made it all the way, but once he got to Africa, he died. But you see all these foods in Africa that came from America. So, and even the word Mayan, they find in Kemet. So, and I've said many times, the oldest god in Kemet is Mu. And what does the dude on Killer Priest say? Look at the papyrus. It's the oldest is Hathor. Look up the papyrus. You know, they going by their own shit. You look up them papyrus, and it's Mu. It's Hathor, and Hathor, even Manly Hall says it in his book of everything, whatever it's called, his book of everything. He says that Hathor is the direct copy of Mu, and Mu is the oldest name of the planet, or the oldest female name. So, yeah, that Indian story is the dumbest shit ever. Yeah. Well, we did see somebody different. You know, he came over here, he hung with a couple of days, and then he passed out, a canoe. And that's why even Columbus' story doesn't make sense. You got iron ships that have a hard time going up and down the Atlantic, back and forth. It's hard for iron ships. So it would have been easier to go around, going up the European coast around. That's the easier trip. But so they more than likely probably did. So well, I'm gonna close it. I'll do the divination though. No, I'm gonna close it without the divination. I'll give everybody more. Let me see, was one more thing. No, I'm not gonna read that. I don't want to be mean. That'd be a mean thing to write. So Mora, it all starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. They knew that they had exact number of years and days before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. The civilization would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles in the great serpent. And as the Mayan would say, I am another yourself. I do want to mention today we have 13 platoons, 0 cartoons, 11 Uno. No, 13 Uno, and we have 11 Kin. No, day one. Today would be day one, and which is Dragon. So day one, today is day one. So it'd be, I said it all fucked up. Oh, there it is. Couple of days off. Yeah, 13 platoons, 0 cartoons, 8 tunes, 13 Uno, and it's day one. And I'll give you a short divination for day one, because today, technically, Tuesday was 0 day. And for day one, it's source of life, dragon, primal water, primal blood, nutrients, beast, Mother energy, power of birthing. And like I don't even know if like anybody just tries to even like trying to be a primal person, like trying to go and dive into the primal waters that'll make you a primal man. Like I don't even know if people can have that conception. It's like our minds are so strong, and that's why I hit with the quantum stuff so hard, because it's a lot of, you can control what's in you by understanding everything about you. You can go quantum with it, and that's what I don't think people understand, how strong our minds are. Like I told before, I lived with a junkie, and this dude did not shoot heroin every day. He only shot it on the weekends. He worked hard every day, and he shot heroin on the weekends. Hey, James Lai, thank you. If I didn't say what's up, James. So, the thing of a junkie just gets sick every day. I lived with this dude for about 4 months. He was an ex-vet. He shot heroin on the weekends. Now, maybe he had a little bit, but damn, he worked hard. I worked for the water department. I took out water meters. He was putting water lines in, sewer lines, dirty every day, hard work every day. Now, you telling me a junkie could do that every day? And as far as I knew, he only shot heroin on the weekends. And I ain't never seen him sick. And shit, we talking about 81, 82. He was shooting heroin back then. And heroin was available back then. So just some things to consider, y'all. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I thank everybody for coming in. I appreciate it. Again, don't look at shit, all these scripts with emotion. Look at this shit for what it is. It's scripts. If it's on TV, it's a program. It's a script. Somebody wrote it. And then we got people that are so much of sellouts that they live what they wrote, just like a movie. Just like you saw Space Jam and they had a role for LeBron in Space Jam, these Olympic people is the same way. If you can bet on it, it ain't organic. So thank you, everybody. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank you. Till we meet again.